is a proof by ranking from the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. Now, the Smithsonian Institution was started by an evolutionist, Mr. Smithson, and it is totally devoted to the promotion of evolution. And this comes from their official website, and this is a proof by ranking showing supposedly how apes evolved into people. Now, once we take a look at this chart, once we take a look at this proof by ranking, we will debunk it, and they will never deceive you again. And I don't really care where we start, but first of all, what do we have? Well, the present is supposed to be here on the right, and then what? Then as we go back here, it's supposed to get older and older in 1 million year increments. So here's the present on the right, and then we go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 supposed million years. Now, then in the chart, we have these colored bars. And next to each bar, there's the name of a creature. And we see these different bars and names of creatures. And perhaps you're familiar with the very famous Australopithecine, Lucy. That's Australopithecus afarensis. So that's right here in the middle. So this is Lucy. And Lucy supposedly lived from about 3 million to about 4 million years ago. And this bar is supposed to represent the lifetime during which the Lucy creature existed. And we have the same thing here. Now on the right we have people, Homo sapiens over here. Then going back in time, we're showing various creatures. They're supposed to be on the, quote, road to man. Now, let's start debunking this, because if we simply debunk it, they'll never deceive you again. First of all, notice something. Notice that, well, these are connected with dotted lines. Now, why do we connect things with dotted lines? It's really quite simple. We connect things with dotted lines because we're attempting to show a relationship which we think might be true, but we cannot prove to be true. I mean, if we could prove that this was true, we would use solid lines in connecting them. But you will notice that what we see here are many, many dotted lines. Secondly, no two solid lines touch each other. Another thing too, I have noticed that back here, these two back here, please notice there are no dotted lines connecting these two back here with any of the ones up here. So according to evolutionists, they're not even sure these two have anything to do with human evolution. And again, which proof by ranking are we supposed to prove or use? After all, think with it. If we start with humans here, we could go back this way using the dotted lines to get to here. Is that correct? But if you'll notice carefully, there's a second way. We could go up here, and then we could go this way. And then we could go up here and down there and get back to here, but then we don't know where that came from. And so there's actually two proof by rankings on this one chart. So which one are we supposed to believe is true? Another thing too, please notice the question marks. I think that this is quite interesting because notice on the chart, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 question marks. Well, that really strikes confidence in you, doesn't it? Another thing too, notice these three right down here. Now these three right here are connected with dotted lines, but there is a question mark. However, do you notice that there are no dotted lines leading from these three onward towards man? So if there are no dotted lines here showing that these are on the road to man, getting to people over here, why are these three on the chart? Well, if you would, please repeat the word filler. Why are those three there? Because they needed filler. I want you to think for a second. If you were to take away these three visually, it would appear that there was less physical evidence for human evolution, which is true because there isn't any. And then I want to share some very recent research with you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in October of 2013, all 5 of these, that includes Homo habilis, skull 1470, found by Dr. Richard Leakey, all 5 of these are now reclassified as Homo erectus. Remember I said Homo erectus was this garbage bin for evolutionary anthropologists. And think with me, in one day in October 2013, they lost 4 intermediates because they combined all 5 of these into one. And so they lost 4 intermediates in one day. There is less evidence for human evolution than you may think.